One project that I must finish before we leave Virginia to go to Florida is I have to repair and rebuild this front deck. Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill with Live Simple, Live Free, and this deck is a mess. When we first bought the house, it was getting kind of old, but it was still safe, it was still usable. We used to sit out there quite a bit. But in the past 2 years, it has really deteriorated badly, and we're starting to have issues with the insurance company for liability insurance, that they don't want to insure the house for liability until this deck is fixed. So I really have to get this done before I leave for Florida. So as you can see, it's all overgrown. The top decking is starting to get all rotten. There's some holes in it. Got some trees growing through over there, over here. And this railing doesn't pass code. This was built long before the new codes came in. The new codes say that you either got to have a bunch of these boards running across this way, or pickets going up and down, and you can't have any more than a 4-inch gap between them so that a kid can't put his head through there. So I'm going to have to completely redo that as well and bring the railings up to code. Now, if I was going to completely tear this whole thing down and start all over again, I would have to get a building permit and I'd have to have it inspected and all that kind of stuff. Fortunately, I don't have to do that. If I'm just doing repair on an existing deck, I don't need any inspections or any building permits or anything like that. And all these top boards are really bad, as you can see here. But the structure underneath all of this, though it's a little water stained right now, it's wet because it just rained last night, this is all still solid. The entire understructure is still solid, all the posts, all the joists. So all I really have to do is take off the decking and the railing and replace, when put new decking boards in, and redo the railing. Now I have to take the trees out that are growing through. I got one there right through the deck, and then another one over there. Those are all actually black walnut trees that are starting to grow up, and there's another one right here. So first thing is to take those off and then start taking apart the deck. Works better if I plug it in. Now this deck is built in a very strange way that it's not attached to the house. I don't think I'm going to be rebuilding this this seat here, so I'm going to have to do something to fill in that gap. Really weird. Most of these stalks are too big for the weed eater. By the way, they were all overgrown wild raspberry plants, black raspberries, and they were all full of thorns. I should have had gloves, it would have been easier. Okay, this deck has decking boards here that are the full 16 feet long, so I just made a cut here and a cut here to make it easier to rip it up. Let me give you a little safety tip. As you're making this cut like I just did, you always want to make sure that you are over here to the side, not directly behind. I knew a guy one time who was making a cut like this, and he was doing it just like this, right behind it, and the blade hit something in the wood and it bound and it kicked the saw back. Saw came back here and hit his thigh and ran all the way up his thigh and laid it bare all the way to the bone, all the way up. It was unbelievably nasty cut. So if you're ever going to do anything like this, you always want to be like that, so that if it binds, it's going to kick back beside you, not right into you. Man, I thought taking this deck up was going to be fast and easy. I was going to record the whole thing and then speed it up for you. But this is tough. This is a bear. These nails are not pulling out of the joists. I actually have to pull them through the wood. It splits the wood up and it's just not coming out. This is going to take considerably longer than I thought it would. See all these nails? They're just not coming out. So I'm going to shut the camera off while I work on a lot of this, because this will probably take me all day. As I'm getting into this, some of these boards look pretty bad right here on the surface, but you can see over here that most of them are still quite solid. It's just a little bit on the surface that's, you know, looking bad. Of course, there's a couple of places there. That was actually some kind of a fire. Somebody probably dropped a burning charcoal in there or something, and then there's that one board over right there that's pretty bad. But for the most part, this is still solid. That's why I was able to walk on it. But the insurance company, it just looks so bad, the insurance company will not approve it and will not give me liability insurance on the house until this is fixed. And as I'm trying to deal with these nails, I cannot get them out. Even with this big crowbar, they just won't come out. So I can either take a Sawzall with a metal blade and cut them off, or I can just nail them in like that. Either way, it's time consuming. So I finally got all the decking off. You see all the nails that just simply would not come out, no matter how hard I pulled. I'm going to have to cut each one off with the Sawzall. The wood itself, the joists, you can see that they are water stained, but they are absolutely solid, so I don't need to be concerned with that. Also, the posts for the railings are also solid, but they just look really bad. They look really old. So I'm going to go ahead and replace them, because everything else that you can see once I'm finished will look new, and it would just look really bad to have these nasty looking posts. So I'm going to have to cut these out and replace them as well. This post for the railing is an extension of the post down here that holds up the deck, and replacing that whole thing would be pretty difficult. That's down in concrete down there. Also, the post is here. I would like to have it further out because there's a lot of wasted space on the deck. So I'm just going to cut these off and then put the new post out here. Can't remember if I mentioned this before, but the railing used to be right here, and there was like, what, 10 inches or a foot of deck out beyond the railing, and that doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm actually, as I put in the new post for the railing, I'm moving it out. Instead of having it in between here, I'll be bolting it out here. I have a line right here to show me the height. Trying to do this left-handed, and I'm not left-handed. There we go. All right, so that's how the posts go in. I'm not going to film the others because they're all the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 9 of them to do. Now these were 2x6s that were used on this deck that I tore off, but I'm going to replace them with what's called 5/4 board. The 2x6, the 2 inches is actually only 1.5 inches. 5/4 board is actually 1 inch. If you buy a 1x2, it's going to be only 3/4, but a 5/4 board is 1 inch thick. This is specifically designed for decking. It's a little stronger. Now, this deck is 16 feet long. And so when I bought these 5/4 boards, this is 5/4 by 6 by 8 feet. I bought 2 8-footers instead of a 16-footer for 2 reasons. One is that buying two 8-footers is about $2 cheaper than buying one 16-footer. So I save a few bucks there. But the other thing is that I have a utility trailer that I pull to pick up stuff. This stuff won't fit in my camper truck anymore. So I'm pulling it in my trailer. My trailer is 8 feet long, so I can handle up to like 12 feet. It sticks out 4 feet out the back, but I can't carry 16-foot lumber in my 8-foot trailer. It's off balance and it just doesn't work. So that's why I bought these. But now I've discovered a problem. When I started to set up, started to measure these are all different. They should be 16 inches on center. This one over here is 19. This one is 16, 17. Next one is 17. They're all screwy, and that creates a problem. This board is lined up down there with the end of the deck. That's where it needs to be. But this joist should be here, and it's not. So I have to cut it off in the middle so that both pieces can land on the joist. But when I cut off, what's that, like 3 inches? That means this one will be 3 inches too short to reach the far end. So that means I'm going to have to cut up a lot more pieces and waste a lot of lumber. I couldn't believe this. How could somebody do this? And then I realized they use 16-foot lumber here, so it went the whole way. So the placement of these for them really didn't matter. But it is wrong. So after fretting for a while, I figured out what to do. I don't want all the joints going right down the row. I usually stagger the joints every 2 feet. But what I'm going to do is stagger the joints every 4 feet, and I'm going to put a scab. It's called a scab when you put another joist next to one that's there. So I go there, I'm going to put one at 4 feet, one at 8 feet, and one at 12 feet. So that I'll have the joints on these staggered every 4 feet, and those 4 feet ones will sit on the joist that I've placed here that is correctly spaced. So at first I thought I was going to have to replace all of these to get them spaced right, and then I realized no, I only have to put in, I can leave everything here and I have to put in 3 more, and that should take care of it. Unbelievable, some of the things that you see done by other carpenters, especially 50 years ago. Also up here on the front, this is where the steps were. I'll be replacing those. So this faces the road, and even though this board is still plenty solid enough, it doesn't look very good, and all the rest of this is going to be, new lumber. So I'm going to replace this one 2x6, which will be easy to do, so that it looks nice from the front. I'm also going to replace these 2 posts because they're not set in concrete, they're just sitting on top of it down there. All I have to do is just take out this one lag bolt that goes through there, or carriage bolt. I can take that out, put a new one in there, so everything looks pretty. It's just, the stuff fascia on the front. I'm not replacing all the rest of them. Woo, this is the next day and it's chilly now. We're in the middle of that cold spell that most of the country, or at least the eastern part of the country, is experiencing. We've had frost the past couple of nights and it's about 40 degrees right now. I think the high is only supposed to be 50. It's nothing like winter, of course, but it's getting winter-ish and it's time for us to head back to Florida. You see that Elizabeth's beloved dogwood is starting to turn, and I don't know, of course our videos are delayed. By the time you see this, we might already be there or on our way there. So we're headed down. By the 1st of November we'll be down there. Anyway, I got to finish this deck before we leave. I was hoping to get a lot more done here and in the kitchen, but that's not going to happen. So at this point I'm just hoping to get this deck finished. Well, now it's all pretty again, at least from the front. Okay, so now I have this end joist replaced just so it looks better, and then I have some 5/4 board on the front here just kind of as fascia so it looks better, and then I have the properly spaced joists in here. This is 4 feet, that was only off a little bit. This is 8 feet, that was only off a little bit, but look at this one. This is 12 feet. They missed by 6 inches. Unbelievable. So anyway, now I'm ready to go and I can cut the decking boards to 4-foot lengths and they'll all fit here. Okay, now if you look behind me here, you'll see that I've made more progress than what I've shown in this video. The deck is done. and all the posts are in. So here's what happened. As I'm doing the work, I'm also starting some of the editing. I got up to this point that you saw in the video, and I realized at that point I was going to do this all in one video, but I realized the entire video would be probably an hour long. So I'm going to cut it in half, make it 2 videos. So I will end it here, and then in the next video I will pick it up right where I left off at the end of this video and show you the rest of it. This isn't complete yet, but it will be, and it's going to look good. Elizabeth is really getting excited about it. So catch you in the next one. That'll be part 2. Thanks for watching. Live simple, live free, you be blessed.